But is immigration truly to blame, and does it deserve the spotlight as the province struggles with a number of other issues? We're diving into this conversation with Stephen Carter, veteran campaign manager in Alberta and president of Decide Campaigns. Thank you so much for joining, Stephen.
Well, thank you so very much for having me. This is a great opportunity to chat about issues that really matter.
Yeah, let's begin here. Do you believe there is an appetite from Albertans to truly head to the polls in October and answer this plethora of questions?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody was asking for this. If we have now the Referendum Act, so we have the capacity to ask for these questions to be asked and answered, but no one did. No one asked for these. There's a coal mine petition out there. There's a petition on separation. There was a petition on staying in Canada. All of those things went through the process and are going through the process. But none of these questions around immigration, none of these questions around constitutional challenges actually went through the process. The Premier has arbitrarily decided that she's going to abdicate her leadership responsibilities and instead throw this to the people to answer these poorly worded questions.
The petitions around separatism, we assume, are going to be added then to the ballot come the fall. Do you assume that's the correlation then? Let's wait. We're 7 months away. There's a lot of time. A lot can happen in 7 months. So do you, one, assume it'll be added to the ballot? And two, do you think it's building momentum for this movement?
Well, I think that it's building momentum to cloud the issue. When you have all of these questions that people are going to want to vote yes to, because I don't think that people are going to be inclined to vote no. There's already a predisposition to vote yes on any referendum question. We know this from the voter science, that this isn't just people reviewing the question and determining what the best outcome is. There's psychology that goes into it. So Danielle Smith has created all these questions so that she wants them all answered yes. And we want them to answer no, we, the civil society, I think. And it's going to be difficult to get people to vote the right way. And then whatever question she asks for separation is going to be clouded by these other questions, these referendum questions. In fact, the Clarity Act would demand that a separation question, a true separation question, would only be asked by itself without these clouding questions overhanging the outcome of whether or not we're going to face separation as a province.
When we take apart these 9 questions that exist right now, some of them are around constitutional reform, and then there are a number of them around immigration. Do you think Albertans will do the research, as Premier Smith believes they will, over the next few months to really look at social services and the issues that are at hand?
Premier Smith didn't do the research. How can we expect citizens of our country to do, or of our province to do the research when Premier Smith can't answer questions like how much is it costing the education system to have immigrants involved? How much is it costing our healthcare system to have immigrants involved? What is the correlating cost of not having them involved? For example, if we're not educating immigrants' children, how can we expect the next generation of immigrants to succeed when we know that second-generation immigrants are some of the most successful people in Canada? They have the highest entrepreneurship levels. They have the highest attainment in professional circles. They are our future, and instead of working to ensure that we are successful there, we're going to charge them to go to primary school? It just doesn't make sense.
I want to look at some of the numbers that Premier Smith has put out there. So the last 5 years, she says an increase of 600,000 people, more than 80,000 additional students, and that has put a strain on the system. You can't ignore those numbers, though. There's a huge population boom. But do you think that it's having as big of an impact as she is portraying?
I've been here my whole life. When I was a teenager, Calgary had 400,000 people. We have had this population boom happening for 50 years. We wanted it to happen. We ran the Alberta is Calling advertisement asking people to please move to Alberta. They moved to Alberta and we're surprised. We're now saying, oh, I'm sorry, we want control. Premier Smith herself wrote a letter to the Prime Minister Trudeau and said, we need more people. We need twice as many as you're allocating. Which side of Danielle Smith's mouth is she going to talk out of next? Too many or not enough? We were supposed to double our population. We're looking at being 5 million people right now. We want to be, what size do we want to be? What size is the best for us economically? And I say that the best for us economically is whatever the market demands. The market is what's setting our immigration levels right now, and the market will determine when we stop booming, we'll stop growing.
When we look at this budget that has come out, multi-billion-dollar deficit, it's a revenue based around resources, right? So we're looking at that. Is that an issue? Is this a long-term problem?
This is a long-term problem. This is a deficit that has been in place forever. Because when Ralph Klein moved us from growing the Heritage Savings Trust Fund to starting to bonus up our revenues so we didn't have to pay any taxes, that really started to change how we were funding government. So we now fund government through resource revenues. One-time resource revenues are replacing multi-time taxes. And we have a structural deficit that continues to this day. When I was Chief of Staff to Premier Redford, it was a $3 billion structural deficit. Now under Premier Smith, it's a $10 billion structural deficit. It's still a structural deficit, and it's an absolute sin that we don't address it.
Let me give you the final word on this. Again, as we noted, a lot can happen between now and the fall. What do you assume is going to happen, either when it comes to this separatist movement, to people wanting to have the conversations around the dinner table on what they want the province to look like? What do you see?
What I see is a province that is at war with itself. A province that both wants to grow and succeed, and a province that wants to keep the success to themselves. We want to keep our money all to ourselves. It's the basis behind the equalization argument. We make more money, we should keep more money. That's, we pay taxes the same as everybody else in Canada, but we complain more than anybody else. And it's because we're richer. And so I think that right now over the dinner table, Albertans need to have a conversation about whether we're going to be the mature society, the mature, responsible society that we want to be, and welcome those who come, or if we're going to be closed off and closed-minded and push people away.
Stephen Carter, appreciate you taking the time and sharing your insights. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.